Okay, let's talk about the absolute chaos happening online around what could be the biggest MCU movie ever, Avengers Doomsday. The internet is practically on fire with rumors. So today, we're going to cut through all that noise and get straight to the biggest, most insane plot leak out there. A story so detailed that, honestly, it just might be true.
All right, let's just dive right in with the one rumor that, if it's true, changes everything. The big one. The idea that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back. But, and this is the kicker, not as our Tony Stark. No, he's a variant from another universe. One who became the infamous Dr. Doom. I mean, can you even imagine? That twist alone would just flip the entire saga on its head.
So if a dark version of Tony Stark is our new big bad, you gotta ask, what's his master plan? What's the endgame here? And that is the question. Well, according to one incredibly detailed leak, we have the entire blueprint. And let me tell you, it's a plan that makes what Thanos did with a snap look like a walk in the park. Before we even get into the nitty-gritty of the plot, let's just sit with that idea for a second. An evil Tony Stark. Think about it. All of that same genius, that same ego, but with zero morality. No sacrifice play. Just pure, unfiltered ambition. A version of Tony who went for conquest instead of being a hero. That's a terrifying thought.
And get this, here's how the leak says the movie's gonna play this. They're not gonna spell it out for you right away, no big info dump. They say the mask just comes off, and boom, it's Robert Downey Jr.'s face staring back at you. Can you imagine what that would do to characters like Captain America or Spider-Man, seeing that ghost, and the why and how of it all? That's the chilling mystery they're apparently saving for the sequel.
Okay, so now for the main event. The reason we're all here, right? This incredibly detailed plot leak. It actually breaks the entire movie down into a huge 5-act structure. And if this thing is even half right, man, we are in for an absolute epic. And look at this structure. It's so methodical, almost chilling. The arrival, the deception, the takeover, the war, and then the victory. It just builds and builds, right? You see how it escalates? Turning this supposed hero into the ultimate bad guy. It really has that same kind of slow, creeping dread that made Infinity War so unforgettable.
So Act 1 allegedly kicks off with Dr. Doom and the Fantastic Four just showing up on our Earth, Earth 616. And here's the thing, he's not acting like a villain at all. He's playing the hero. He's warning everyone about these universe-ending collisions, these incursions, and he points the finger straight at the X-Men. And the key to fixing it all? He says it's Reed Richards' son, Franklin, who, as you might know, can literally bend reality. And then in Act 2, his plan just works perfectly. He actually convinces the Avengers and the Fantastic Four to go to war with the X-Men, so you get this massive, epic Avengers versus X-Men throwdown. It's only when Doom pulls his final trick, using his magic to hijack an entire army of Sentinels, that the heroes finally realize, oh no, we've been played.
Okay, this next part is where you really see the scale of Doom's ambition. In Act 3, he doesn't just go after a planet or a galaxy. No, he launches an all-out assault on the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, the people who manage all of reality. He's not trying to conquer a universe, he's going for the whole shebang, the very structure of the multiverse that Loki is now holding together.
And then, of course, comes the war. Act 4 is just total chaos. Doom unleashes his entire army. We're talking Doombots, the Sentinels he stole, right onto Earth 616 with Wakanda as the main target. But here's the genius part, according to the leak. It's all a diversion, a classic divide-and-conquer strategy to keep all the heavy hitters, all our mightiest heroes, busy on Earth while he makes his real move, completely unopposed. And it all leads to this, a just devastating Act 5. In a final, desperate move, heroes and even some villains team up, right? An uneasy alliance to stop him. But it's not enough. Doom is just too powerful. He crushes them all. And in a final, brutal move, he betrays any allies he might have had, because, you know, there can only be one Doom. The movie supposedly ends on the bleakest note imaginable. He wins. He shatters reality and forges his own twisted version, Battleworld.
I mean, think about it. To tell a story this huge, with 5 acts, dozens of characters, multiversal stakes, you'd need a pretty epic runtime, right? Well, that lines up perfectly with another rumor that's going around, a massive, staggering 3-hour and 45-minute runtime. It sounds insane, I know, but for a plot this complicated, it kind of makes sense.
Okay, so that's the big one. That's the 5-act leak that has everyone talking. But how does it stack up against some of the other major fan theories that are floating around out there? Does it fit? Or does it completely contradict them? Let's take a look.
So the biggest clash, the biggest point of debate really centers on the X-Men. This 5-act leak makes them a huge part of the story, right? A central piece of the puzzle. But there's another popular theory out there, a much darker one, that says Doom is going to completely wipe them out in a shocking cold open. Just to show everyone how powerful and ruthless he is right from the get-go.
And that brings us to another massive question, one that comic book fans are really focused on. What about the most famous, the most iconic rivalry in all of Marvel Comics, the endless intellectual chess match between Reed Richards and Victor Von Doom?
Yeah, see, if Dr. Doom is a Tony Stark variant, a lot of fans are worried that this central relationship, this core rivalry with Reed Richards, is just going to get tossed aside. And you have to wonder, can you really do a Dr. Doom story without his all-consuming obsession with proving he's smarter than Reed? It's a really valid concern.
But here's the one piece that seems to fit in almost every theory, including this big leak. And that piece is Franklin Richards. By making Doom's entire plan hinge on capturing Reed's son and using his reality-warping powers, you instantly create that deep, personal conflict between them. It's actually a pretty clever way to establish that rivalry without needing decades of comic book history to explain it.
So let's just say for a second that this whole leak is true. If it is, what does that mean for the future of the MCU? Well, one thing is crystal clear. Doomsday isn't the end of the story. Not by a long shot. It's the catastrophic setup for the grand finale, for Secret Wars. Yeah, the biggest takeaway, the thing you really have to understand, is that this movie is being designed as part one of a two-part epic. Just like Infinity War. Remember that feeling when Thanos snapped his fingers? This story supposedly ends the exact same way, on the ultimate cliffhanger, with the villain having won, completely.
And his victory isn't just about winning a battle, it's a complete and total rewrite of reality itself. He becomes God Emperor Doom, the absolute ruler of this new, chaotic patchwork planet called Battleworld. This would leave whatever heroes are left totally scattered, defeated, and pretty much hopeless, setting a terrifying stage for Secret Wars.
And that leaves us with the final and maybe the most exciting question of all. If the Avengers lose, if they fall, and Doom is sitting on his throne ruling everything, who is left to fight? Who can possibly save reality? Well, the rumors suggest that the last hope might fall to some legacy heroes pulled from the wreckage of the multiverse, guys like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Now that would be something to see.